All the students to order, please. The committee of the whole, the board of education. Mr. Vina? Yes. Mr. Orson? Here. Mr. Hickey? Here. Mr. Moore? Here. Mr. Phelps? Here. I'd like to start with Mr. Brian Walter from Holman Career Allison, who is our auditor, who's going to report out to the.
Thank you very much. For those that don't know me, my name is Brian Waldron. I'm a senior audit manager at Holman Allison. We had the pleasure of serving with Steve and the board for many years now. And we're here tonight just to give a very brief overview of the June 30th, 2021. It's pretty boring. I know that's just the way I'm getting the background music there. The reports that Steve had provided out to the board, most likely in the agenda, is about 200 pages. So there's a lot that goes into this every year. We had a detailed finance committee meeting last Thursday with Steve and the rest of the finance committee to go over this in much more detail. But again, I'm just going to give a quick overview report on our a few of the reports that we provide to the school district, and just a very quick overview of some of the revenues and expenses, some of the highlights, if you would. So just to start, our firm provides 3 opinions to the school district, the regular independent auditors report, and we have issued an unmodified, which is in other words, for fancy word for a clean opinion on the school district. Just states that the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects as of June 30th, 2021. There were a few, but major changes this year in some of the presentations that I won't dive into. But if you were to compare this report to future or previous reports, you would notice that there was a few changes to some of our fiduciary funds, such as student activities, unemployment fund, payroll, the way that those are presented. So not to get confused, if you did feel like you wanted to go through every one of these 200 pages, you might notice some of those differences. So we do have an emphasis of matter paragraph stating that, so not to be alarmed that there is a large change, and that's statewide. That's not just the school districts here. The other 2 reports that we provide opinions on is a report on internal controls on financial reporting. So besides the Department of Education rules that we look at, we do various internal control and compliance testing. And we are happy to say that we have we did not identify any significant deficiencies or any instances of non-compliance to report on. And the final report that we provide, this report on internal controls and compliance, is related to major programs for state and federal funding. The school district receives significant funding from the state of New Jersey and also from the federal government. And that triggers an additional audit that we need to look into. So we did extreme testing in areas such as the CARES Act this year, Coronavirus Relief Fund, this child nutrition cluster, and also the state aid public. So with all that being said, we also issued an unmodified clean opinion on those, and no instances of noncompliance would need to be reported on those. So again, all clean opinions in our audit report this year. Relating to some of the revenues and expenses in our general fund, which is our main operating fund, we saw revenues increase this year about 4%, most of that in the local tax levy, and then obviously in our state and federal funding. That's kind of statewide. We're seeing that obviously as far as the money coming in from CARES, which is usually the largest increase this year, and from the federal side, and additional state funding if that was the case. The positive to look at, if you say positive, we had a decrease of about 1% in expenditures. There were various expenditure lines, some of that related to COVID, not needing certain positions or supplies that might have thought we might have needed. So looking back to 2020 year, which again was right in the beginning, or that was the tail end of the fiscal year when COVID started. We had about a 1% decrease. So a 4% increase in revenues and a 1% decrease in our expenditures, which is always good to see, staying in line with the budget that we have adopted in the beginning of the year. So with that, we did have an increase to our fund balances, roughly about $1.4 million. That was then added to our overall fund balances. And through the conversations with the business administrator, we had made sure that most of that money, if not all of that, was additionally added to some of the reserves the school district has set up. Those reserves being capital reserve, the maintenance reserve, Excuse me. And then also we have the unemployment reserve as well. So additional funds that made it in this year. So I'll say as a surplus, but those funds were then put in correct spots for future years for purposes that we will then need down the line. So we had an overall increase in our fund balances this year of about $1.4 million, which is, again, good to see and in difficult times. The one other area that we talked about was the proprietary funds that the school district has, which relates more or less to here, just being the cafeteria fund or food service fund that the district has. As you can imagine, this was a challenging year statewide for this. So the district did see a loss this year in that fund of roughly about $40,000 based on expenditures and reimbursements. Although the school district does have a healthy fund balance there, and we're in talks to assist in preparing ways that we can use some of that to future improve the cafeteria and things that relate to that. So although a negative year, that's kind of, again, statewide, it's not a abnormal here, so it's nothing to panic about. And then lastly here, unfortunately, we're here in December, which is so close to 2022. However, we are not final with these reports. I'm sure as this has possibly been brought to your attention, we still are waiting on information from the state of New Jersey related to other post-employment benefits. It's a fancy accounting term. Unfortunately, because the school district has and follows generally accepted accounting principles in their opinions, we have to wait for this information to be presented to us. We don't come up with this information, actuaries from the state do. And then unfortunately last year that information wasn't provided to us until mid to end of February. So tonight, I believe you're looking at this as approving a draft here on behalf, as I mentioned to the Finance Committee, as we get more information and it goes down the line. If there are any changes for anything outside of the information that we're waiting on, we will report back to the Finance Committee so that they can be aware of any of those changes. And then now at that time, once it is set in final, hopefully before it was last year, we'll be able to present this to you. I won't come back, but you'll be able to approve the actual final acceptance of the audit. So again, we wanted to make sure we were here in somewhat of a timely manner, so we're providing some accurate or relevant information to you. So we're not here in March talking about June 2021 numbers. Again, I can go on for a lot longer for additional things, but I see we have a lot of people here. I'm sure they don't want to hear me talk anymore. So if there are any questions from the board, I'd be happy to answer them. But also I can relay the information to Steve and he could process that over to me if he needs to. Thank you. I just also wanted to thank Steve, for his hard work and his staff. Obviously, they do a great job helping us. It's not, forget about COVID times. It's a lot that goes into this. We started this in August, so we've been doing this for about 3 to 4 months at this point. So again, thank you very much for, the cooperation and help there. Yep, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next is Finance Committee Logistics Benefits. We met on December 16th and discussed the construction project, which are moving on as expected. We of course see some supply chain delays causing some problems. The new lockdown system was tested and implemented. Smart television was installed with about 75% done in high school. We will be working on putting radio system for communication improvements on tonight's agenda. So thank you, Sir Walter, and also the business office for supporting the audit tonight. So thank you very much. And then we are going to be refunding the bonds for existing year DOE bonds, and then going to approve new electronic message boards at the high school, the Fort School, and the Downey School. These will be tied into the lockdown security systems, and then capital funds are also being reserved to support the new stuff. The The transportation committee also met on December 16th, and we've seen some substantive improvement with the changes in there over the past couple months. So it's good to see, even though we continue to see significant driver shortages. The amount of the wait route seems to be going down pretty cleanly. If anybody knows anybody who wants to be a bus driver, we have lots of openings. We would love to. We also discussed the policy requirements for video retention. Now we have a really strong video system in all the buses, and that will go to the government to eventual policy. Any questions on transportation? The athletics committee also met this month. Tonight we're going to be voting on motions to approve athletic staff for the 21-22 school year, including Kristen Smith for the assistant middle school wrestling coach, and Ashley Davies for the head coach for the middle school track. We will be making a motion to approve hosting the tournament of bands in the New Jersey State Championship. We will use the high school facility, including the building, the football stadium, the concession stand, and the practice fields. The TIA Atlantic Coast Volleyball Championship for Waterloo is being voted on to the athletics committee. And then we're decommissioning, disposing of old band uniforms, and voting to approve varsity wrestling coaches. We also going to make it the athletic director attendance the NJSIA State Individual Wrestling Tournament in March. We'll also be voting to approve Jennifer Barnegat for RBNS Volunteer Assistant Basketball Coach. Any questions on athletics? Mr. Hughes, give an update on education.
Thank you, Mr. President. Education Committee met December 15th, 9:30. Tonight we're going to pass 11 motions. Several of them are routine motions, so continuing education requests for our teachers, field trips, and advocacy workshops. Of note, we will be approving the Young Oasis presentation by Robert Solomon. It costs $950. Presentation for our 2-floor building about how we can exercise kindness through activities that parents in the schools. We were able to get a student services update from our education committee from Mr. Gunnarsson. Of specific note is the Pause Transition Program, which is offered to our special education students. The PAUSE stands for Career Learning Awareness and Workplace Skills, and it helps our high school students across ability levels with skills they need to develop outside of the classroom and moving into adulthood. That program is basically two different things. One is community-based instruction, the other one is structured learning experiences. And these are both focused outside the classroom, generally in a commercial setting, where our students can basically apply what they've learned in the classroom, social skills and interaction skills required to conduct these more important adult skills or team employment. What's really important here is that over the last couple of months, we've mentioned this program has grown from 1 partner, and 2 partners, and 4 partners, and now we're up to 15 total partners throughout the week, throughout Barnegat. And right now we have 2 students that have participated in the program who are now going to be gaining employment, either after graduation or concurrently with their school, in full-time or part-time positions with these different partnerships. This is a significant note because these are community partners, and if you're in these places, it's good to recognize that these places are participating in our school district with our students. So just a quick list, it's Acme, ShopRite, Lefties, Dollar General, Vinny's, Chartwell's, which is our local food service program, Lucky's Bed and Biscuit, which is the grooming business, Walgreens, the Ocean County Library, Marchione's, the local Wawa, Dunkin' Donuts, the Rose Garden, Sweet Jenny's, and the Philly Pretzel Factory. Also, we'll be approving a motion for dual electives at the high school. These electives consist of recording arts 1 through 3, which is for our students that are interested in developing and learning music production. Maybe they're not the musicians who are performing, but they're the ones who are on the back end making this commercial quality and ready to build music for the future. So these very much have skills for the future for our students that are focusing on creative endeavors. We also have one called Star Wars: Discovering the Galaxy, which is a literature elective, which is high interest to a lot of our students. It basically relates current day events or past historical events through the lens of Star Wars and the social systems that those need to learn about our society. And then lastly, we have our New Jersey graduation assessment electives, and those are for students that are going to their juniors and senior years and they need some help attaining the level of education that is required to pass those assessments, which are a graduation requirement. Lastly, or not lastly, but we during the meeting we had an English language learning update from Michelle Dawes. We are going to be approving the 3-year plan that our district uses to bring students in who are learning English at the same time they're also trying to take in a full curriculum. And as you can imagine, that is a lot to manage for our students because not only are they just trying to pass the courses, they also have to work with the learning as well. We provide those students a ton of support and we track them years after they demonstrated proficiency and fluency in English. And we're basically discussing how we're going to continue to track that data so we provide those families and those students the best support possible. Lastly, we have an math and science department update. I want to say thank you to Mrs. Christine Smith and Dr. Christine Kennedy for spending better part of 2 hours updating us on action plans and strategic goals for those departments as we move forward. Significant interest is we were talking a lot about how the data supports the decisions we're making, the action plans we're putting in place, and the supports that we're choosing for our students going forward. If anyone has any specific questions about this part of updates, I took some pretty copious notes. If not,
The Edwards Committee met on December 13th. There's an agenda item tonight to approve the demolition plan proposal. The hazmat study determined the presence of substances of interest we have carefully. And the district will work to save materials from the other site to retain the entire facade. But we will save some materials in the site. Question for
President, just looking for some clarification, so I was on the phone for that call. Is the proposal that we're voting on, is the 68,000 that's listed in the agenda?
yes, that's what's overall to design the demolition.
Design. Okay. I just wasn't sure because I know we have the 3 options that are inside.
Yeah. So the 3 options are the 3 options were estimates on what the total project would cost, and there's still option 2. Any other questions or comments?
Governance did not meet this month. There was only 2 job descriptions, which we'll see on the agenda tonight. Just decided that we could have that conversation this evening. Committee of whole. Those 2 job descriptions are for the principal and director of curriculum instruction, which are really the only pertinent changes to it is just some verbiage and some of the hierarchy for the workshop. Any questions?
No questions on this one? Personnel committee did meet this month. We are hiring several staff members to fill roles within the district. We were able to train many of our staff members at the Dunphy School for CPR. And we would like to recognize 2 retiring employees, Susan Staskovich, who has been a counselor with the district since 2006, and Ms. Cheryl from the bus driver, who has been with us since 2008. We wish you both well in your retirement. And then finally, for the Citizens Advisory Committee, Dr. Steiner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Scott Beck. I'm the chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee. We are a group of citizens that meets monthly with some board members and administrators and speak about things that are pertinent to the community and the district. This month, our meeting focused on curriculum and benchmark testing for the year so far. So, yeah, mine's going to be as exciting as Mr. Walter's was here today. So, all the information that we discussed can be found on the district website. It's out there for all of us to see. Our meeting, our main presenter for this meeting was the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Jim Barberry. If anybody knows him or heard him speak, you know his passion and his desire and how knowledgeable he is of our curriculum in our district. So I would like to thank him for being there, and as always, he kind of knocked it out of the park. He's great with this stuff. So we started with a quick history about standardized testing, when it began back in the 90s, how the benchmarks were made, and part testing was bad, and then after that it was too good, and a lot of different things along those lines. So around 2010, Common Core came into play, and that's when really everything changed, the landscape of standardized testing. So Barnegat, a lot of feedback, I don't know if that's me, I'm sorry. Barnegat, we've done, since 2014, we've done really well in our students' performance. It's been an upward trend. And so just some numbers. So in 2014 for ELA, English language arts, 42% of students were meeting or exceeding grade level proficiency. By 2018, it was 51%. Math was 30% to 35%. And around the same time, about a third of students were meeting or exceeding standards in science. So it doesn't look like there's a big jump in numbers, but when you compare that nationally, we're crushing it. And New Jersey is one of the better states, if not the top state in the country when it comes to standardized testing and what we're doing. And Barnegat has been doing very, very, very well with these numbers. We're well above the national statistics. For example, let's see, historic, since 2012, there's kind of been a slide. The historic reading for grade level in first grade was about 16%. Collins last year for first grade, was about 72%. So way above. Historic math is 10 to 34%. Barnegat is over that at 36%. We math, and so reading, math, and science kind of all work together. As Jim says, a child must learn to read to learn, right? You have to be able to read to be able to do math. You have to be able to read and do math to be able to do science. So it is an upward slide, although it's slow, it's an upward slide. The district is happy, but they also want to push harder and get us up there so we can be the number one in Ocean County and then number one in the state. Testing. People get anxiety about testing, right? Testing is not a bad word. It's simply feedback. A coach gives feedback to their players to push them to be greater. A piano player looks to their teacher to better themselves. We all look for encouragement. Testing is simply encouragement. We need this feedback so we can alter how we teach our curriculum and how we can push our teachers and our students to achieve more. So a problem with benchmark testing, and there are a lot of them in my opinion, but the problem with benchmark testing is we'll take them in the spring, you don't get results until the summer. Well, the kids are matriculated, they're at the next level now. So we partnered with a company called Linkit for benchmark assessments that are used in the fall, winter, and spring. That way the district can track, it can keep teachers and well, let me say this. Linkit will, the results are compiled, they're compared to a national database, which will allow the district to predict how the students will perform on the state testing. There's multiple benchmark data points coming in, so we could adjust that curriculum. With that, we're able to help support the teachers and keep all the grade levels on par with one another. There's, say, for second grade, there's not an easy teacher and a hard teacher. We're all level across the board. So that's a really good thing. It helps us allow the teachers to have autonomy in how they teach, but keep them all on the same level. if one teacher is really excelling at a lesson, then other teachers can learn from them. And we can help each other. We can work together to keep all these teachers doing really, really well. The district will support our teachers quite a bit. There's a professional development academy that is run for the teachers by teachers. The first 3 years of the teacher's career are kind of scripted as a tour for them. And obviously they can do more. After that, there's from 4th year on, the teachers have this academy where there's 3 full days and 3 half days of training for them. So it's a really good thing, and the teachers vote on what they want, what course material they want to learn. If the teachers aren't performing well, then the district steps in. There's instructional coaches who are expert teachers that will help the teachers and the students. This isn't, a thing against the teacher. It's not their overall performance, it's helping them move along. So it can push our teachers to achieve more and our students to achieve more. So overall, our standardized testing in 2020 was a year for everything. So it hurt our scores, our math scores. ELA took a hit, but not as bad as math, and still we did better than national average. So I'd like to commend the teachers, the administration, the board, everybody for doing that. Our upstanders in the room right now, you guys are the epitome of what the district wants. This is completely me going off topic here. You guys are working so hard to be good students and just good people overall. And I want to say thank you to the parents as well. It takes the school district, but it takes the parents and guardians and people at home to help move everybody forward. And that's what we're looking for. Myself as a parent of 2 children in the school, that's what I want to see too. So thank you to you guys. And our next Citizens Advisory Committee our meeting will be on January 10th. We're going to have the discussion of the Edwards School that Mr. O'Brien touched on a little bit, and also some strategic planning for the Board of Education meeting to get more parents involved. So get involved. Again, thank you for all that you guys do, everybody goes through the district, and happy holidays. Anybody has any questions?
I have a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole. So,
Second. Mr. Beamer.
Yes.
Mr. Fedorzik? Yes. Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yeah.
Mr. O'Brien?
yes.
All right, committee of the whole is adjourned at 6:06.
To call this meeting to order, the regular meeting for the Barnegat Board of Education for 7/1/2021.
The notice of this meeting has been forwarded to the Asbury Park Press, the Beacon, and Captain Barnegat, placed in the foyer of each Barnegat Township School. The Barnegat Township Municipal Building has been filed with the Barnegat Township Municipal Clerk in conjunction with the open public meeting. Mr. Attorney, Mr. Beamer,
Here.
Mr. Fedorzik? Here. Mr. Hickey?
Here.
Mr. Moore? Here. And Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
All right, we have one.
Could you ask for 5 seconds?
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Please have a motion for the approval of the agenda. So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Mr. Beamer?
Yes.
Mr. Fedorzik? Yes. Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Moore? Yes. And Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Please have a motion for approval of the minutes from regular session, November 23rd, and executive session. So,
Second. Any further discussion? Mr. Beamer?
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey? Yes. Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Moore? Yes. And Mr. O'Brien?
yes.
All right, motion carried.
Next, we'd like to invite Ms. Brianna Pinkle as a student representative.
So, Barnegat High School has had many successful events in the past month. We had a private club team that went really well and had a lot of people coming. We had a community center event where the staff of the high school brought their kids and had the opportunity to sit there, and that went really well as well. We're in the middle of our holiday school week, tomorrow and every Saturday. And we have our holiday hallway decorating today, where each class is assigned a hallway and decorated based on it. So we had a lot of successful events in the past month.
Next, I'd like to welcome Dr. Barnegat for superintendent's highlights.
All right, why don't we start with the proclamations, presentations? Ms. Young? Okay. All right, we can invite Mr. Dorsey and Mr. Hickey up, Mr. O'Brien and Dr. Lewis. Mr. Deemer, maybe you can move closer to the camera because this is for you too. And I'll read off the proclamation for your dedicated service to the district. So whereas Ms. Bivens, Mr. Hickey, Mr. Deemer, Mr. Dorsey, did faithfully and conscientiously serve the Barnegat Township School District as a member of the Barnegat Township Board of Education representing Barnegat Township. Whereas Mr. Bivens, Mr. Deemer, Mr. Dorsey, Mr. Hickey has served as a member of the Board of Education for a number of years. Whereas Ms. Bivens, Mr. Hickey, Mr. Deemer, and Mr. Dorsey has performed duties as a member of the Board of Education in the best interest of the students and citizens of the Barnegat Township School District. And whereas as a result of their dedication as members of the Board of Education, Ms. Bivens, Mr. Dorsey, Mr. Hickey, and Mr. Deemer has earned the highest respect and deepest appreciation of the Barnegat Township School District, its students, community, and administration. Therefore, the Barnegat Township School District publicly acknowledges the dedication of these board members to faithfully and conscientiously perform their duties as a member of the Board of Education. The Board of Education wishes to commend and thank each of them for their dedicated service to the district, the pupils, and staff extend their sincere best wishes for their future endeavors. That resolution shall become a permanent part of the minutes of Barnegat Township Board of Education. The Board Secretary has been directed to cause a copy of this resolution to be appropriately reproduced and delivered to each board member dated this 21st day of December.
Okay, while we are waiting for communication updates, we'll go to
a second, I just want to have a couple highlights that I'd like to read off. First, a district highlight. Barnegat was equipped with Warwick Elementary School, Barnegat Township School District, was named Charles Mid-Atlantic School Lunch Hero for the year. Monica was selected among 16,000 associates in 4,500 different schools for her unwavering dedication to serving up happy and healthy in the cafeteria and community and inspiring her kids to go above and beyond every day. So a huge shout out to Monica. Congratulations. Dunphy School recently had the Polar Express experience, which took place on Tuesday, December 14th, and it was a huge success. They had over 220 people attend. And I'd like to give a big shout out to multiple local organizations, such as the Communities That Care, Oasis, Barnegat Police Department, Barnegat Rotary, Barnegat Branch Library, Rite Aid School, Barnegat Adopt a Street, CCYC, Girl Scouts, Barnegat Recreation Department, Star of Poverty, Barnegat's Community Garden, Boy Scouts, Experimental Aircraft Association, Ocean Acre Support Squad, the Barnegat 4-H, and finally Lefties. These organizations share information and goodies with the families. The cheerleaders took first with the Super Game Day Regional Champions, so congratulations to them. I'd like to say a couple of words about Steve Brennan in the business office. I obviously have heard from the auditors tonight. That's another year, another clean report. I think that's a real testament to you and all people in your department. When you consider the last year that we navigated the pandemic, we altered the facilities, we put in a cyber lab at the high school, computer lab, we rolled out smart TVs, we started to roll out the entire district, there were about 100 TVs in. We have a one-to-one initiative that went all the way down to kindergarten, multiple different classroom supplies, curriculum initiatives, we've upgraded our security, upgrades to the HVAC, and go on and on. The fact that you guys, your department were able to always be a support team, administrative team, leadership team, to make these things a reality, is that's what you do. So we thank you and your entire department for your hard work and your diligence. And congratulations on another year and another team. Thank you. Everybody for the upstairs? I would like to invite Mr. Thomas into the room.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Barnegat is a place where we believe in positive school climate, family togetherness, and community involvement. In the marriage of these three principles that define the Upstander program. To unite Barnegat as a district, we are recognizing students aligned with family pride acronym. This month, our students exemplify generosity with a G. To reward these students, we are granting them a gift card for a family meal from a local restaurant. And tonight's gift certificates are for goodies to reinforce the idea of family meal and family togetherness. I'm honored tonight to recognize 7 outstanding individuals for their commitment to making Barnegat a better place. When you hear your name, please join Board President Mr. O'Brien and Superintendent Dr. Lavis in celebrating you by coming to receive your plaque and gift certificate. So this month, a little bit different. Before we call up our December outstanders, I'd like to first recognize a student that couldn't make it last month. In November, we honored students who demonstrated a nurturing character. So from Russell Brackman, 8th grade student, Ava is very deserving of the November Outstander Award. She's always very nurturing and understanding. She's a great leader in the drama club and caring towards her peers. She encourages the students and offers to help them when they need help. She always tries to motivate our students to do their best. Ava is the true definition of nurturing students, and I'm very proud to nominate her for this award. So on to December. Senior at Barnegat High School, Shannon Harrington. Untitled Chapter to Barnegat School to offer her services as a performer to teach our third and fourth grade students about being thankful. She generously shared a beautiful musical performance about being thankful during Thanksgiving with our students in our mini assemblies. The students enjoyed an interactive music montage that had the students singing, dancing, and rapping while celebrating all they were thankful for. Seventh graders from the Russell Grafton Middle School, Xavier Banks. David shares with others even when he doesn't have enough for himself. He's always worried about whether others have what they need. He's always willing to share materials or anything else someone needs. He's always very caring and worries so much about other people. He's always hesitant to accept something when it's given to him because he doesn't want to take things from someone else that they might need. Xavier is truly such a generous and caring young man. From the Corbell School, fifth grader, Gia Plankowski. It's a pleasure to have in class and is such a wonderful role model for her fellow classmates. She has a wonderful attitude for her school. Her positive attitude is absolutely infectious. She motivates her fellow classmates to try harder. Gia is a compassionate young lady and is always kind to others. She empathizes with her peers and is willing and able to work with them in any situation. We're honored to have her in the class this year. From Joseph T. Donovan Elementary School, fourth grader, Madison Anthony. Conscientious, considerate, hard work. Of course, she is always ready to lend an extra pencil or piece of paper, but she goes beyond the materialistic definition of generosity. She is not only self-motivated, but she enjoys helping others achieve their goals as well. She is genuine in her delivery when offering a bit of advice or assistance to a classmate. Madison is not only a great student, but a phenomenal, generous student. From the C. Celeste Collins Elementary School, first grader, Mason Martin. Exceptionally generous student. He's giving in both his attitude and actions. He is everyone's biggest cheerleader. Mason always gives his classmates words of encouragement, and he is always the first to applaud their accomplishments. He is quick to compliment his friends, and is there for them when they're feeling down. A favorite part of the day is watching Mason walk with his class to the buses. As soon as they're released to go on the bus, he grabs a friend's hand and makes sure that he makes it safely to the bus. Mason's generosity has made him become a trusted leader in our classroom. And from the Lillian M. Dunphy Preschool, pre-K, Jeremiah Henderson. He is a great friend. Whenever someone falls in the playground, he's the first kid over there to help them up and ask them if they're okay. He also helps his friends and teachers clean up the room every day. Jeremiah always shares and loves to play with his friends.
Finally, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and a Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody can enjoy some nice time with their family and get some much needed rest and relaxation as we head into 2022.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. I would like to start my remarks by thanking members of the board who are finishing their term this month. We do appreciate the service of the community. Thank you for all your time and the governor's office recently released new guidance on post-contact quarantine requirements. I wish you should have seen that in the email. We still can't let our guard down. If your students feeling ill, please make sure that you keep them home. We need to keep the buildings open safely and operating effectively. The shortages of substitutes and quarantining has a tremendous impact on our ability to keep the building open. So we just need everybody to work together to keep powering through this. This month, we've had several events happen at the high school requiring support from the Barnegat Police Department. I want to thank the Barnegat Police and all the staff for the quick response and action. Well, thankfully, there were no real personnel. I'm confident in the ability and dedication of everyone to keep all our kids safe. And then, you know, this, as a parent and students of the district, I feel safe setting up this school, and I know that everybody here is really focused on keeping our kids safe. And then just, you know, please speak to your students about social media and the importance of see something, say something. There's nothing that you can say that isn't something we should learn. For the Edward School, that has that study has been completed, and we're going to proposal for demolition this evening. I'd like to second Dr. Lavis' response for Ms. Monica in charge of controller from the Board of School, and to be selected as a school workshare of the year at 16,000 staff members and 4,500 schools is really, really great. She's been with the district for 27 years, and she's dedicated, and we're really happy to have her as part of the board of that. Thank you to all the members of the community that have come out to these meetings and been part of the process this year. It's important for everybody to participate and let us know how your schools are doing and be part of it. So thank you. We met this month a few times to discuss the staffing services used for the substitute teachers. And while there continues to be a shortage of qualified subject line, which is a national problem, we understand that the frustration with the service, and we're working to address it. We do need substitutes. We need bus drivers. We need help. So if anybody's interested in working for the district, please go to the website and check it out. And I'd also like to say have a happy and safe holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you in January. Thank you. Can I please have a motion to enter a public session? So moved.
Mr. Beamer.
Yes.
Mr. Bertha. Yes. Mr. Hickey. Yes. Mr. Moore.
Yes.
And Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Session 626. Barnegat Township Board of Education appreciates and welcomes public comment, advice, and suggestions, especially when it's intended to assist the Board of Education. Please feel free to speak to the board during public session. Comments and discussion will be limited to 1 5-minute period per individual unless requested by the chairperson to continue on a point of clarification. Public comment at a special meeting of the board shall be related to the call of the meeting in accordance with the Board of Education policy. Each participant must be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface their comments by an announcement of the name, address, and group affiliation if appropriate. Your anticipated courtesy to the members of the public and the board is appreciated.
If anybody on Zoom would like to join, please raise your hand. I see that somebody already has. Anybody who here, please start.
Everyone, my name is Daniel Hoffman. I'm a freshman here at Barnegat High School. Last month I was at this meeting here raising awareness for my project, Proprietary Funds. This month I'm here touting its accomplishments. Hundreds and hundreds of donations have poured in over the past month, and we could not be more grateful. Soaps and snacks and cards and toothbrushes, I mean, you name it, and it was donated. I just want to thank everyone that helped, Dr. Rathlis, Ms. Camarada, Mr. Beck, Mr. Buckley, the DMM Law Firm, the CSM Robert Gallagher Charitable Foundation, Mr. McGee, Mr. Pinello, Ms. Baldwin, Ms. Burke, Dr. Perperai, the contacts at Laura Bishop Communication Firm, Ms. Vanderpyle, Ms. Worsham, Laura Hutchinson. I mean, I truly can't thank you all enough. But none of this work could have been done without, none of this work could have been accomplished without Michelle Marty, who's actually sitting right for that. Right here. She's the founder of Christmas and Camouflage. And she built this project from the ground up. I mean, thank you, Michelle. From here, all of your donations are shipped through Operation No Ribbon and sent all around the world to soldiers missing the warmth of home this holiday season. Thank you all and have a Merry Christmas and God bless.
Thank you very much. Sir? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Lapis, Mr. O'Brien, and board members. My name is Mike Hemingway. My address is 201 Lazy Oak Lane in Manahawkin. I'm a teacher here at the high school, and I've been here for 11 years. I'm here tonight to deliver some good news for a change, and that is the huge success of our annual toy run was here at the high school. And for those who are not familiar, students and faculty members are encouraged to bring in new unwrapped toys for economically disadvantaged children. We'll have breakfast open on Christmas morning. I can't think of too many things worse than a young child and then breakfast open on Christmas morning. The toy run started about 20 years ago when a despondent young man went to a local police station on Christmas Eve looking for help because he had no presents to give to his children the following morning. I'm sure you can guess what happened next. The police responded as they always do and helped this man give his children a nice Christmas. It was because of this incident that the Toy Run Foundation was created. I want to emphasize the Toy Run directly assists families here in Barnegat and in surrounding towns. On Friday, myself, Mr. Rossi, and Mr. Taggart, along with several of our outstanding students, collected all the boxes set up in our rooms and loaded them on the trailer provided by the Toy Run Foundation President Sergeant Dennis Jarrett of the Waretown Police Department. These boxes were then taken to St. Mary's and Manahawkin, unloaded, and then set up the actual toy run on Saturday morning. On Saturday morning, local families and Garden Toy Associates were rewatched as they chose their toys for their children. And I'm very, very happy to report that because of the effort of our students and staff, we were able to help the Toy Run Foundation provide toys to almost 400 children here in Barnegat and in the surrounding community. We'd like to thank our administration at DHS for supporting our efforts. Mr. McGee, we thank you for all your help. We especially want to acknowledge the efforts of two of our outstanding students who went above and beyond to help. The first is junior Matthew Contact. Matt went around the community door to door to solicit donations for this worthy cause. In addition, he actually recruited members of the wrestling team. East and Saturday canvas local businesses to help support the toy run. And I'm happy to say that because of Matt's efforts, he was able to fill 4 huge storage bins of toys for the toy run. He's already told us that next year he plans to top this amazing feat, and we're definitely looking forward to see that. Next up is senior Kelsey Jacobs. Kelsey went for artistic abilities to make signs for the toy run. She assisted setting up on Friday night. And on Saturday, she helped community members to pick out the toys, and I think she brought them off as 2 of them, one around from Mountain Boy. In conclusion, I myself, I was on the school board for 6 years, and I know we can hear most of the negative things. We just want to know that our students and staff are doing amazing things here every day, and our efforts in the tournament is just one of many examples. So thank you for your time, and for listening, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Mr. Junker is on the Zoom. Mute yourself. Hello, Mr. Junker, can you hear us?
Yes, Mr. O'Brien, finally, it's tough on this end tonight. It's William Junker. I'm the president of the Barnegat Education Association. First and foremost, I want to thank the outgoing board members for all their time. No one knows more than me how much time that they put in their position being volunteer. Especially want to thank Mr. Hickey, who served as board president and also on negotiations. I know how much time that Mr. Hickey has put in various roles in his tenure on the board, and I want to thank him personally for all the time and how much hard work he put in. On top of that, I do want to thank 2 groups from our membership. One group in particular, the Dunphy paraprofessionals. They have really stepped up lately, helping out our transportation department. We all know the struggles with transportation. Not only do we need drivers, we also need aides on our buses to make sure that our kids are safe and seated. and the Dunphy Paras have stepped up in a big way. And I'd be remiss if I didn't speak about them and let everyone know, how hardworking and how they've been putting in extra time to help out our students to get home safely. On top of that, we have 6 full-time nurses in our district and 3 part-timers and 2 subs that have been putting in extra hours regularly. We know September was really tough, and we thought October we were going to turn that page, but everyone knows this past week and the past few weeks in December have been extremely difficult, and they're all putting in time. Denise, Brooke, Catalina, Dolores, Joanne, Colleen, Marianne, Nadine, Jane, and our 2 subs, Corinne and Michelle. I know I've talked to them personally, how hard they're working. And again, I'm going to thank Dr. Latwis and the board, for putting some secretaries in place to take some of those burdens off those folks. They're working more with the same and sometimes less in a condition that none of us ever saw, having to, reach out to parents and make those contacts. And, I know firsthand those contacts are never fun. They never feel good. So, I don't want anyone to forget about those guys and those ladies and really how hard they're working on a daily basis, making those contacts. And, at this time of year, and it's so rough lately, I really want to thank those folks and make sure everyone knows how much they're putting in for all of us. Other than that, wish everybody happy holidays, safe couple weeks, and, happy New Year, everybody.
Good evening, Dr. McGee, Barnegat High School principal. I just want to take a brief second to thank, look, we heard a lot of people talk tonight, and they were talking about service workers, right? And it is always great to hear around the holiday time, when you really think about people that are in need, whether it be the Thanksgiving season or the Christmas season. Tonight we heard some adults get up here and talk about students, and we heard some students get up here and talk about programs initiated or carried over. And I had the pleasure of being with Marty when the program started at the Township with the Christmas campfire. I know the program here started with this program well before I got here, but it's still going. But we got to hear some names like Hoffman and Franzak and students that have now taken on the leadership role of these programs. And really that's what it's about, right? I mean, we educate, we look at moving our students forward as young men and women, but I also look out here and I see Mr. Beck, who is dedicating his time to work and be on a committee and help out in the community. I see a board of education who is dedicating their time to help out and work with the school district to make sure that our students have the best. And that's really what we're doing. So it starts with small programs, it starts with small things, but it ends up being our community, it ends up being our leaders. And I just want to applaud all of our teachers and all of our students for their efforts and their hard work. And I also want to thank our adults that are modeling and keeping their stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else in the audience? Anybody online? I just have a motion to close public session. Sorry.
Mr. Deemer,
Yes.
Mr. Fedorczyk,
Yes.
Mr. Hickey. Yes. Mr. Moore. Yes. Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Public session is now closed at 6:37.
Moving to section 12, finance, PG, resistance, motions. We have motion for items 1 to 14. So moved.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd just like to take a second to recognize all the efforts of the administrator and Mr. Ryan. There's 14 large motions here tonight, but in particular, there's so many big initiatives that are going on month after month after month. Over the last 3 years, we've seen Mr. Ryan so the effort to get all these things moving, and make this district a much better place. My time on finance committee, I just want to say thank you very much for everything you've done for this district, for our students, and personally for me, educating me and keeping me
smart on all things and save time. That's all.
Thank you very much. Very good.
I'll do more on that.
So, one, two,
Any further discussion? All right,
A lot better. Thank you very much. Mr. Emer.
I couldn't hear you, Steve.
We have a motion on the floor for finance items 1 through 14.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Dorsey? Yes. Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
And Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, motion carried.
Number 13, Athletics Committee motions 1 through 2.
So moved. Okay. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Emer?
Yes.
Mr. Fedorczyk? Yes. Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, motion is carried.
Item number 14, we have a motion for Education Committee, items 1 through 10.
Second. Any further discussion on that?
As the chairperson of the Education Committee, last year, I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Gunderson, Mr. Barbieri, for student services and director of curriculum. You made it one of those meetings pleasure. I'll be in a little bit long at times, but that's how we do it. So thank you very much. I know, going forward, everyone's in good hands with our board members. And,
President as well. I'd like to echo Mr. Hickey's words there. But I'd like to call out a couple that haven't been on the education committee up this last year. It's been really eye-opening. And there's been several people that really stuck out. And I gotta say, Ms. Smith, Ms. Johns, and who am I forgetting here? Regina, Ms. Santola. I mean, you guys really dealt with us and our questions, specifically with the iReady rollout and just your enthusiasm. You specifically, you're sitting here in the room. I was kind of listening in this week. I was kind of multitasking for the meeting, but everything I'm doing, I couldn't help but not be guided towards your enthusiasm and what you bring to the education committee, what you bring to the students. Your love for math is something I don't know. I certainly didn't have it, but it certainly got me engaged, over this last year. So keep doing what you're doing, Mr. Barbieri, Mr. Gunderson, sitting through, like Mr. Hickey said, sometimes long-winded, but it was a lot of information. I enjoyed it. So keep on. I'll be around somewhere. That's all I have. Mr. Emer.
Yes.
Mr. Fedorczyk? Yes. Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes. Item 15 is Education Committee amendment. Please have the governance committee items 1 and 2. So moved.
Any further?
Yes.
Mr. Fedorczyk? Yes. Mr. Hickey? Yes. Mr. Moore? And Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Next up is personnel. So moved.
Further discussion? Mr. Emer?
Was that me, Steve?
Yeah, sorry. I was kind of caught with the microphone there. Mr. Emer?
Yes.
Mr. Fedorczyk? Yes. Mr. Hickey? Yes. Mr. Moore? Yes. And Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, motion carried.
And please have a motion to enter the executive session.
So.
Mr. Deemer.
Yes.
Mr. Dorsey.
Yes.
Mr. Hickey.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
And Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Carried, we're in executive at 6:44.
Mr. Weaver, please use the Google Meet link.
Steve, Sean, were you talking to me?
Yeah, you need to click on the Google link to enter the executive session. That's it. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back. adjourn executive session, please. So moved. Second. Mr. Dino, you on one? Yep, this is.
Out of exec, no. Mr. Beamer.
Yes.
Mr. Fedorzik? Yes. Mr. Hickey? Yes. Mr. Moore? Yes. And Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
All right, we're out of exec.
Can I please have a motion to approve the HIV? So moved. Yes.
Further discussion on that? Mr. Beamer?
Yes.
Fedorzik? Yes. Mr. Hickey? Yes. Mr. Moore? And Mr. O'Brien?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Mr. Deemer,
Yes.
Mr. Fedorzik, Mr. Hickey. Yes. Mr. Moore and Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 7:04.
Thank you, everybody. It is a great holiday and New Year. Thank you.
Take care, guys.